Moving on. So I
Moving
guess the
on.
best thing that we could do at this point is, and look, we don't want to leave out the other parts of the general aviation market, and I'm just gonna go ahead and hit this one off because
Yeah, have
we've
at it,
got a
man.
little bit
Yeah.
more to talk about here. And what an Aviation Week just came out with the fact that general aviation has an electric revolution going on. And look, we talk a lot about the air taxi market, and there is a classic design to an aircraft, and that classic design is basically high or low wing and a propulsion system. And how they work in the universe is still very much the same. Not everyone has chosen to go vertical into this air taxi market. And there's quite a few players in this that are actually working on concepts using smaller engines, batteries, so on and so forth, and different propulsion units that are still in the market to try and crack open the EV market in GA. Now, GA, believe it or not, which a lot of people may or may not understand, there are thousands of airports scattered across the continental United States that support the general aviation community in ways that you can't even comprehend. And I say that because they're small, and you might have one in your local neighborhood, and it might have 350 to 500 planes, maybe, or less, in lots of cases, less. But the difference is that you occasionally see that Cessna flying across the country, so on and so forth, and you might lazily look up and be like, look, airplane, pretty cool. But GA is alive and well, and in this country alone, okay, there are at least, I think the last time I checked, 160,000 GA registered pilots, right? Maybe not that many aircraft, but an airplane in the GA market. Some of these airplanes have been produced, say, in the 1950s and 60s, are still flying, and lots of the airplanes that were produced in the 1970s are in the training fleets of many of the schools across the country. So what you're seeing produced today has the propensity, and I say the propensity, okay, to become the trainers and everything else of the future. And here's just a couple that we're going to click through, and we'll just give you our own take on the fact that there are some of these companies that we know and some of these companies that we don't know, like Airflow. I haven't dealt with Airflow or know enough about them, but they're apparently working on an electric short takeoff and landing cargo aircraft, which working with someone that they're going to do it on off a modified Cessna 210, which is a good airframe, great airframe to try to take out there, right? To do this with. I didn't know somebody was trying to remake a 210 electric. Had no idea.
Same thing. Yeah, this is the news to me, and yeah, no, didn't know.
Had no idea. So there's one. That's Airflow. Then and here's another name that people might know. There's the Otter. Okay.
Yep. Oh,
so the and this is from Ampere. It's a hybrid electric propulsion startup, and they're trying to make the Otter SX, which is a conversion of an old de Havilland, Canada
a twin Otter.
THC6,
So cool.
a twin Otter. And look, that airframe, the twin Otter, is probably one of the most classic, I would say,
and hardy.
And hardy, yeah.
Hardy.
I mean,
yeah,
this thing, they've been around. They've been around for a long time. And I was impressed to see that somebody was going to take a twin Otter, okay, and try to do this with. But then I was like, well played, right? Like,
yeah, and they're doing their testing in a Skymaster, so another good aircraft.
Great aircraft, right? And these are old airframes, classic designs that they're just going to convert to EV. So this one is kind of new because they're going the route of actually developing, it looks like, a complete and total airframe themselves. This is Apus, I guess. It's the I-2. And it's a German aviation company, and they're looking at driving an electric one. It looks like they're putting the batteries in the wings, which sounds relatively reasonable, just like most fuel. But they're...
Talks about hydrogen.
Yes. Yeah. They're doing them hydrogen, which is going to be interesting. Yep. So the hydrogen tubes are going to be in the wings as well. So that could be really cool. Although, you know, hydrogen.
I'm just curious about fuel availability for such a thing like that. I mean, maybe it works really well, but it kind of is funny that that initially makes me think the same thing we've talked about with some of the air taxis. Right. It's just where are you gonna fuel this thing?
I don't know. That's good. I hadn't even thought about that.
Infrastructure, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, good call. Good call. Then we have the Aero Integrale E. So this is a French startup, and they look like they're planning for their first flight in 2022, but they're Toulouse-based, which means they're very close to Airbus, which I would have to imagine there's a bunch of Airbus guys working on this project, which
probably they've got their hand in there.
They've got their hand in there, so I would say that there's a very good chance that these guys will be highly successful at what they're doing, just knowing that alone, because Toulouse, France is one of Airbus's bases. Buy Aerospace E-Flyer 800. Now, if people don't know about the Beechcraft King Air, okay?
Oh my, yeah.
The King Air is like the station wagon of the rich and famous. If you're not quite rich enough to afford a private jet, and you're probably a wealthy doctor, then there's a good chance you got a King Air. Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a really good chance you got a King Air. And these things are phenomenal. And I've never flown a King Air. I've flown a Kodiak, which is kind of similar to a King Air, but more of a rugged aircraft. And let me tell you, the people that have flown King Airs, though, they live and die by them. They tell you they're the best thing since sliced bread. So
yeah.
That would be interesting to see. And I dare you to go to an airport, and you could probably sit at any GA airport across the country, and at some point in time during that day, amongst the thousands of 172s you're going to see, a King Air will come in.
Yeah.
Guarantee you.
Yeah, I mean, they do tons of stuff. I mean, even like there's some, like CIA's got some King Airs. Everybody operates King Airs.
King Airs.
Yeah.
After that, Diamond aircraft. Diamond is probably one of the formidable and probably the most innovative in the last 20 years in aviation, at least in the GA aircraft, outside of, I would say, Cirrus. Okay, because Cirrus is up there as well. Diamond Aircraft is going to put a version of their DA-40, which is a very, very, very good airframe. Yep. Fantastic airframe. And they're saying that this thing is going to be able for a fast charge, swappable batteries, and a 1.5 hours. And it's intended for pattern training, which for them, I think they've perfect at the marketplace.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They've got the whole thing planned out. Like you said, Diamond, they're not a new name. They've been around. They know how to build planes.
Yep.
But also they know exactly where this one slots into their business model.
Yep.
So, I see no problem in this thing happening as long as, again, we talk about battery tech, really.
Now, here's one massive thing. Pattern trainers take massive amounts of abuse, right? And the other problem is, they do. They get slammed on. They get plopped on. But the other thing is, pattern training aircraft, the engines also take a massive amount of abuse because they're under constant load. When they're taking off, they're performing go-arounds, they're performing engine offs.
A lot of RPM changes.
Yeah, a lot of RPM changes. Yeah. And when I was thinking about that, I was like, wow, an electric engine, think about the overhaul time.
Perfect for that.
Perfect for it.
Perfect.
Really well thought out. So good for Diamond.
Yeah.
Electro Arrow. These guys, I've seen them other places.
I've heard of that. I don't know if we talked about them, but I've heard of them before. Yeah.
Did we see? I know they might have been at Sun and Fun also. They might have been. It's a 172 size demonstrator, and I want to say that they sound so familiar. Maybe. Again, high wing, which good for stability. Looks like the thing could be a lot of fun to fly. That's just a nice design.
Yeah. Yep.
Fair Dare. Is that? I don't even. Farah?
I have read about this one already. I read
Tell me
this
about
before. I read about it. Of course, the first thing caught my eye with this article when I was flipping through was obviously the design.
Right.
Looks pretty cool. It's obviously got a pusher back there.
Right.
But this, if you see, it's 18 passengers. This is talking a bit bigger size. I mean, they already say that they're partnered with Honeywell, and they've already got Magnix, and there's another plane in here that has that too, but we'll get there. So
5 metric tons of freight. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is a bigger, obviously bigger, but
so I'm gonna imagine a carbon fiber airframe, especially with the way those airfoils look like they're designed. I'm gonna say that's definitely be carbon fiber because that's the only way you're getting that kind of lift.
We can see that it's obviously all lifting body. The whole thing's supposed to be trending lift across all those airfoils, which
that's very pretty. I like that. That's a nice design.
Yeah.
You know what? I gotta write them down because I want to.
Gonna keep track of that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna. That one has.
There's another one that we're gonna see down later that has the same kind of.
I'm gonna put that one in
the
notes
for their motors, but we'll get there.
There's one when you see a design like that, I'm gonna go back to it for a minute because, like Corey said, the full lifting airframe, the way that they redesigned it in a sense, and the fact that they're shooting for those target numbers in lift. That's a huge step for EV aircraft, and if they prove those numbers to be workable at a range of over 200 to 250 miles, they're going to be in great shape. That's going to be like a pretty nice looking design for them for certain features there. Especially if you...
I'll send you the main website because, yeah, I've looked at it before.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So then we got the flight design F2E. And this is another German flight, looks like designed one here. European Union Aviation Safety Agency and the CS23 certification. Oh, wow. So this is going to go flying in 2022. And it first flew in June of 2019. Well, look, that design... That's very similar to the Diamond and almost like the Skycatcher that Cessna was making a few years ago when they pulled out of that light market.
That's what I was gonna say. Yep.
4-seat version plan. That looks pretty cool. I could get behind that one.
We'll look at the hours too. 2-hour endurance
Yeah.
plus reserves. So that's slots right in GA. That's
where you actually need to be. I mean, because
that's what I'm saying. That's
because 4 hours. Look, if you're doing a good run, 4 hours and a 172, and you're doing a long burn on it, and you're coming back with min reserve fuel, and sometimes you could get that on a good day. Sometimes even a little bit longer if you're lucky, and if it had bigger tanks. You don't want to be in a Cessna 172 for more than 4 hours. It sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
It really. Yeah. It's cramped. You can't get up and just crawl out in the back and go to the bathroom or something. There's no glory in that. So, Aero Bristol. This looks like a certification for a 2-seat trainer. It's a Czech light aircraft. I'll tell you something. I'm really impressed with what's coming out of Czechoslovakia and the Czech. That whole region in general has been producing some really, really unique aviation components and pieces and ultralight aircraft over the last few years. So that looks actually interesting to me. That is a pretty looking airplane. I like that tail design too. That might be another one to start watching because that looks... certification is planned for 2022. I wonder what their range is. Interesting.
Don't know.
What do we got from there? Harbor Air, the E-Beaver. Oh, get out!
You see, it's also got this Magnix X. That's what I was talking about. There's another one too coming up. But yeah.
Really? So these are the other ones. So they first flew this one. I know this one flew 2019. Okay, but the certification 2020. My only concern is salt and electric usually don't mix all that well. Yeah. So I'm going to imagine that there's going to be a level of freshwater component and maybe life-limited parts based on saltwater-based versus freshwater. Maybe some level of contamination there.
However, the airframe isolates the battery compartment from everything else.
Really?
We'll probably add weight besides the batteries themselves because, man, you got to keep it dry.
You got to keep it dry because look, in the Gulf of Mexico, flying a Bell 407 offshore, coming back, you always did an engine rinse every night. You waited for them to cool down. 40 minutes later, you went out, you sprayed down the internals of the engine, you ran it, you dried it out, and then because salt water will just destroy turbines. It'll destroy everything. Hart Aerospace. Ooh, 250 nautical mile range. And this one's an all-electric 19-seat regional aircraft. All right, this doesn't belong in GA, though.
No, I mean...
That's not GA. That's something completely different. Because, when you get into that level, if you're going to talk about that type of range, 2026...
It's a regional carrier.
Yeah, it's a regional carrier. Okay.
But I mean, here's still cool, but we'll see.
The magnets. Okay, so this is the one, the eCar.
This is the one I was talking about.
Okay, so tell me about this one.
Caravan.
As you're taking a drink, obviously.
So no, it's they're working with Sydney Seaplanes, an Italian-Austrian startup, Dante Aeronautical, but it's powered by the same Magnix X that were a few other ones have been powered by. And basically, it's a retrofit of the called an e-Caravan, but a Cessna Caravan, a 208 Caravan. So. And as it says right there, it's already been prototyped in May 2020. So that's actually where I saw it before because this thing's already flown.
Yeah.
And so they're still obviously in development, but
that's cool. I mean, that's very. Caravan. I mean, so a major competitor to a Kodiak is actually the Caravan, the Cessna Caravan. All right, and there's a lot. You'll see a lot of these that have the big underbelly cargo tray as well, which fly a lot. And you put a turbine or any engine in that thing with a Garmin 1000, and you've got probably one of the most stud aircraft on the face of the planet that can go in, fly in anywhere, do anything you want. Great piece of hardware. And probably, if I wasn't thinking off the top of my head and I said, let's put a different engine on that, that would be probably the first one that I would go, oh, that makes a perfect candidate to put a donor electric engine on. So yeah, for sure. Wow.
Oh yeah.
So
Cool.
what is this? The Mabusine?
I have not seen this before, so
I have not
I don't
either.
know.
This is quite different. Pusher
A
pullers.
hydrogen-fueled 6-seat regional. No, sorry, that's not true.
That's a different one. This one is the
Valerian M1, a hybrid electric. A step towards a hydrogen-fueled 6-seat regional.
Wow.
First flight of the tandem 2-seat is planned for 2022. This is a 2-seater then. That's a 2-seater?
That's a 2-seater, but I'm gonna say one thing.
Let me look up this website.
Putting
maybe that's the 4-seat.
So here's my deal, right? Putting all that thrust outboard on the very tips of the engines, on the very tips of the wings. Wow. You better make sure those things are synchroed like all the time. Because that could be like, I get it that they're going to cancel each out on yaw, but God forbid you have a one-side failure. Yeeks. I wonder if they're going to be wired in a way that you could only lose the pushers or the pullers. You know what I'm saying? That's a wild design.
Call me crazy, but does it look like each push and pull has counter-rotating blades on each side?
It kind of does, but I'd have to see them stationary at that level. But that would be the only reason.
Well,
I mean, that's the only way that you would get that to work. So, interesting. Oh, the Vellus Electro. I've actually seen this aircraft. So that's where the PIPs. Okay, so they achieved their first certification in electric aircraft, right? So this is a 2-seater in June 2020. This we actually saw this. This was at Sun and Fun.
It was.
Yep, we saw this one. It was actually sitting there, and I think they had 2 there. So that was a pretty airplane. No surprises there. All right, we're getting down to the end here. So what'd you find out on that other one? Anything more?
Not too
much. Okay.
I mean, there's nothing about the inside.
We got the.
It does look like there's 6 blades on the front and back of each nacelle, not nacelle, but
what they're doing there
on this other one, but it doesn't say.
Yeah, you know what?
I can't pick too much out of it yet.
We're gonna do a little bit of investigating on them. So mark that website because I want to look at their designs. Those look.
Will do. Yeah.
Those look a little interesting to me. So then we have the Volt Aero Cassio, and this one is former Airbus CTO Jean Lotti, French startup of Volt Aero, is developing the Cassio family hybrid electric aircraft, 4 to 10 seats. It's a pusher puller. My God, it looks like the old Spooky, which is the old reconnaissance, and that's the Cessna that was the push puller. With that tail design. Oh, Jesus. The Skymaster. Oh, the 337 Skymaster.
Yeah, the Skymaster.
Wait a second. It's right there in the article. I'm trying to think of it. I was like, oh, man. By the way, Cessna 337 Skymaster, one of the loudest prop planes ever. Thing was loud. I don't know how they pulled it off being quiet, but that thing was always loud. Everyone that I've ever seen on takeoff and landing, I always knew it was Skymaster. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And then we're back to the airflow. So there's a lot there. Yeah, look, the GA market going EV is going to be big changes for them. But look, GA aircraft are probably the first places to get it done because they usually have limited range at that level anyhow, and they're usually altitude limited. What'll be really interesting to see is if any of these aircraft can actually fly higher than their original certifications, because they're not going to have to worry about normally aspirated engines losing power at altitude.
Well, it's actually one thing I was going to go right on to that too when you talk about GA was to say that it's probably a good place to test out some of this technology, because if you go into smaller aircraft, they can get some experimental type certificates.
Yeah, sure.
And they don't need to go through as stringent regulations to get the bigger planes that are more commercial,
right,
operating to get going. So they can really kind of test bed the technology and experimentals, and then they'll know more. Then when they go for the bigger planes or the different category stuff, they're good to go.
Oh God!
So it makes sense.
I just had an idea. It's got a 172 and put the FPS on it.
Oh wow!
That would be great. You could
go experimental and be like, yeah, whatever.
Actually, or get a Piper, get a Cherokee, put it on one of those or an old Seneca, right? And just be like,
Seminole.
yes, or Seminole.
Seminole,
Throw it on
take
a
those
Seminole.
things off and
Oh
just
my
throw
God,
it
that would
off.
be fabulous. I'd be like, this is great. The only problem is those things don't have the V&E for it. You couldn't go 200 miles an hour, but you could get the thrust out of them and they'd be quiet. So anyhow, all right, folks. Hey, that's our show for today. We appreciate you tuning in. Thanks everybody for the support. We will continue to get the message out there. And Corey and I got some other stuff that we got to take care of. And I think we got a couple maybe launches in the next week or two. But when are we getting back on schedule?
I have to double check that. That too. I have to get back to you on that
Okay,
too. Yeah.
cool. But hey, it's been great. Thanks for the people that have tuned in and found us through Jetoptera, so on and so forth. We're going to continue. We're excited about the J2000. So much more to bring you guys, but we'll be looking to come back to you next week. So stay tuned.
Take it easy. Stay safe. Thanks for all the support, and we'll catch you soon.
Thank you so much, everybody. We'll catch you real soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy. Bye.
Oh, the title screen didn't come up. Look at that. Or did it? Oh, there it goes. It's up. But the Harris music has died.
It's dead?
It seems like it's dead. Who knows?
Are we out?
We're not out, but now we're going to be out.
Okay.
See you later, everybody. Bye.
It's
Still actually going now. Now it's
this is still up.
It's still going up and down. It just won't stop. OBS has decided to absolutely
the OBS.
Yeah, this is great.
The OBS.
The OBS is